What's good, everyone? Welcome to the fourth episode of 21 Questions of High Ground Q&A. I am your host, OG Bam, and I'm thrilled to have you join us as we continue this exciting journey where curiosity meets conversation. On this episode, I am joined by one of the owners of the Playin Possum Podcast. If you remember, we had last week, we had a member of it, Ty. Ty. Brother, happy birthday, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
How are you?
I'm all right. Finally getting older, 24. Finally got a haircut after like 20 years. It took me 20 years to finally get a haircut at 24. Shit crazy.
Shit is crazy.
Life is just crazy. So.
Oh, sir, life is unscripted.
Yeah. I had my ear drained today, so I went to work late. Everything in the book. My chain is kind of fucked up, but it's okay. That's how life is.
All right. So I'm pretty sure since you watched the other episodes, you know how this works. You got 21 questions. We're going to learn about you. This one is a little different because he is a chorus from Triple-P, which means you'll have some Triple-P questions. He's also a New Yorker. He'll have some New York questions. He also has a cat. There'll be some cat questions. It's going to be questions for him that's curated for him. All you have to do is answer it as honestly as you can, honestly. And so the goal is to learn about you. And that's about it. It's very simple.
Yeah, man.
So easy. The first number one. Again, we're gonna reiterate. Happy birthday. In your 24 years, what is the biggest lesson you learned?
For me, honestly, to not take anything for granted. I have been coming up on my own for a few years now. And the little pluses and the little, things that I could get myself or things that I got, I have to be grateful for it because there's a lot of other people across the world that don't have it. And I'm just grateful enough to not be one of those people and actually have a future laid out for myself as well. Right. There's a lot of people who they don't know what they're doing. Their future's bleak. They feel worried. They feel scared because, they don't see anything in themselves right now. And for those people, I truly think that you can find a revelation and actually put forth the action that you need for you to actually put your foot in the door. So I was at one point borderline homeless myself. So I actually put forth get my education, get a high school diploma. Trying to work, trying to get these jobs, trying to make my own money. So my family doesn't have to constantly take care of me because I know I can take care of myself.
Right. Okay. That's a good thing to know. I mean, I don't think a lot of people can relate with almost or even maybe almost being homeless. I unfortunately have crossed that line several times and have been homeless several different times. Some of the worst places to be homeless, like Youngstown, Ohio. Don't chase women. I'm saying as a story for whenever my episode comes, you might get that story. Number two. Okay, so a lot of premise of the show is to find out what you not really regret, but what you wish you still could do or continue doing, or find avenues that you could try to chase certain dreams and stuff again. Is there a project you've always wanted to work on but haven't yet? And if there is, what is stopping you?
Honestly, probably college. Probably college. It's probably the simplest answer, especially with someone that's young. What's stopping me? Money. college is too expensive nowadays. I somewhat regret. Actually, not even somewhat. I regret dropping out when I did. I dropped out 2 weeks into my first year of college. Um, because I was chasing pussy and not my education as much as I should have. Um, but I also felt like I was in a wrong headspace at the time. My head was. I was just coming off from my senior year in high school, and I felt depressed. Really, I didn't really want to be there. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to have to travel every day. I chose to go there. Don't get me wrong, but I had to travel there every day. And what I really wanted to do is uh, urban studies, and I couldn't even do that. So that's why I really regret my 2 weeks of college and dropping out and not actually going back. I can't go back, but we'll see. I don't
Well,
have to.
if it's any correlation to you, I'll give you that one for free, so that we don't ever have to ask me that question. In 2005, I started my first time college. No 05 at 18. I didn't graduate high school. I went GED in 2004. A year later, I went straight to college. I dropped out maybe about after 3 months. Got my little first refund check and pew up to where I eventually was homeless. Women. Uh, it took 13 more years for me to actually settle down, go right back to that same college, start again, and finish at least one of the degrees before I ran out of money, because there's a limit on what the government will give you.
At least we got one. That's all that really matters nowadays.
All right, so this is a kitty question. Okay, cute. Uh, it's a you question though. What it said that when you get pets, something changes about you, or you find out stuff you didn't know about you. I don't know how that correlates to me. I've always had nothing but dogs, 23 dogs in total for the last like 30 years. Uh, but what's something you've learned about yourself since getting Bella?
You took a shit. I've noticed. My bad. She took a shit. I've noticed. I'm like when I have children, probably in
Mm-hmm.
the future. I've noticed that I'm really a chill parent. Like I let a lot of shit slide. Like I'll tell you to get down or I'll tell you to stop, but I'll just look at you and I'll just let you continue doing what you're doing. I feel like I'm gonna need to have like my eventual baby mother slash wife. She needs to kind of be like the stricter one,
Yeah.
but I'm the relaxed one. Like I'll get you what you need. I've bought Bella toys. That's the cat's name. I bought Bella toys, which she didn't even need. And I'm more of a giver as a parent. So that's what I've noticed. I'm very lenient. So you're not afraid. He jumped up me twice.
That's a good thing to know. Like I said, I've had nothing but dogs. I've had a spider. His name was Steve. So if you guys, when you all collectively come together and ask me questions on my show, ask me about Steve. You would laugh and laugh.
Steve the
But
Spider.
Steve was nothing but a big ass dog, and it was a goddamn tarantula, or a little dog. Okay, so you have a kitten. She's still a kitten named Bella. What's the most chaotic thing she's ever done?
So far,
Yeah.
um, she jumped from my bed to a table that's literally next to my bed and dropped this like lamp that I have squids in,
Uh huh.
the spray bottle, and then she dropped a light as well.
Did she push it off there?
Yeah, like she fell while trying to jump.
Cats do that. I think cats. At least you don't have an orange cat. Orange cat activity is said to be unhinged.
Yeah,
So
I have a Persian cat.
yeah.
She's that's crazy.
I want me a munchkin cat. You know, the ones with little itty bitty legs.
Yeah.
The little Scottish fold cats. Boy, they just want to be doing.
Not fast with their short ass legs.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. This course is a Bella wrestling question.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. If Bella had a signature wrestling move, what would it
The
be?
frog splash.
Also, going on from that same question, though, same number 5, would you ever consider getting her a tag team partner in the future?
Yes, actually. So this is kind of my bad. Not something. This kind of inspiration by my best friends because they also got a boy cat like
Mm-hmm.
6 months, 6 to 9 months after they got the girl cat,
Mm-hmm.
and they already have kids on the way. So I do plan on getting a boy cat. Hopefully, they could entertain each other to calm the fuck down. And you never know.
You
I
might
get my,
find out. You
I get
might
my
find out getting a second cat, even if it's to calm her down. They'll end up double
double trouble.
double trouble, double Velcro. Because I know this Vela is usually around you. She'll be a Velcro cat, but I like Velcro cats, the ones that want to be around you. All right.
Bella finds a way every time. If I'm not here, when I'm here, like on my days off, she'll sleep right on the bed, right next to me, just sleeping.
So being a fly in the wall in Triple P server when I'm in there, sometimes I'm quiet, not being me. Um, you learn that some people have struggles, some members have struggles. Some of these next questions will be about your advice you would give to them or your advice for yourself in the same regard that they needed advice the other day. And the last two in this section have to do with that place you live in. Anyways, um, so number 6, what does ambition mean to you?
It's, okay. So I've met a lot of people who aren't ambitious. Let's start off with that. Um, I've dated people who aren't ambitious,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a real struggle. It's something in the mental, and it's something personality wise that people have to try to accomplish. Because if you aren't ambitious, why do you expect everything to be for you? You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So I had a friend. Well, he's still my friend. He told me one day we was on the 4 train together, heading home. He told me the best advice that he's ever gotten is for you to be ambitious, for you to be great and everything, you have to put yourself in the situation to be lucky, to become lucky. And that stuck with me. I was like, okay, so by that logic, right? I need to put myself in this. I need to put my best foot forward in order to get the opportunities that I want. And to me, ambition is that you have to put your best foot forward. You have to put your best out there to try to get everything that you want to accomplish and achieve in this world. We have a limited amount of time. As much as people say we have an unlimited amount of time, we have a limited amount of time. There's things that you need to do as soon as possible in order to get where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's my definition of ambition.
That's a good definition, and that is a you definition. Because if you would have come to me with some Webster's dictionary shit, I'd have been like, "I'll ask you again." I don't think you heard the question.
Oh, that's some weak ass shit or someone.
Yeah.
It's a website.
Uh. Okay. So again, being on that fly in the wall, I hear things that I feel like I shouldn't, but I do. So the next two questions are actually very specific. Something that I wrote this morning from what happened yesterday. Or what I heard yesterday. So because you're the host, because you're might be younger or older than some of the members, they still look up to you. These two questions I find are the deepest ones I've ever written on the show so far. So, what is your reason to not give up on life?
It's a good one. So, at one point, I was honestly, I was going to give up because I felt like everything was just against me. Everything was pushing me up against the wall. I had no friends, basically. My family was like kind of broken at the time, and I just felt like everything was not going for me. And then I realized how old I was. Honestly, I realized how old I was. I realized I was okay. I realized I was only 19, and there is a lot more. Even though I said we have a limited amount of time ill, there's still a lot more to life when you're 1 year out of high school, or 1 year into college. So I thought to myself, why take my own life when there's things that I can change in this world to make everybody talk back? I realized, why give up? Not because I'm a John Cena fan. Why give up when there's much more to life? There's much more things to do. There's new things that's gonna come up. There's new things that you can try. There's new advice you could take every day. There's new avenues you could take when it comes to life. You don't have to be just this depressed person all the time.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, depression, it takes a while to cure entirely. And I would say it took me until I was about 20 for that to fully like have to get out of my head. And I just kept pushing towards my goals. I knew where I wanted to be. I knew where I wanted to go was achievable, even with a limited education or, my background or whatever, you know. And that forced me to not get up. You know. Some people will say, "Oh, pussyfoot." No, no, not that. You have things that you want to achieve in life. If you don't achieve it, you wasn't trying hard enough. And when I realized at 19, like I haven't achieved what I wanted to achieve, that's what kept me going.
I hope you have everybody watching this episode specifically for these things. So you the next one, please don't say the person's name, but you know who you need to talk to with this question. What's one piece of advice you'd give to someone who's struggling to find hope?
Trying to find hope. I know exactly what you're talking. What's my one piece of advice? So I gotta think of the struggles that I've had. I want to say don't give up because that's just cliche. I feel like everybody hears that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say talk it out because once again, that's cliche. Uh, Fighting through it is also cliche. It's a lot of cliche things that you could go about that. Let's see. What can I say? Might get a little dead period from you real quick. As I'm done. Uh, I would say adversity makes you the person you want to be. Keep going through adversity, keep going through the struggle, and you'll understand when you get older, you realize that there's opportunity after opportunity that you can take Take those opportunities. Don't be scared. Don't be shy. Don't back away. Because at the end of the day, you may never know who you may run into and what they can provide for you to get better.
I can interpret that as the same thing as saying, don't always look for the easy route in life. Adversity keeps you humble, and humble is the best part of strength that anybody can actually have.
Exactly.
There you go. Hopefully, they hear that, not just hear it, but hear that.
Mm-hmm. Actually, Sam, what we're coming.
Here goes some good fun questions, because that was a hard 2 questions. That was very hard 2 questions, especially when we're both dealing with somebody who has that issue. Um, what's the best and the worst thing about being a New Yorker?
The best thing you can walk under. Honestly, you can walk anywhere in the city, even kind of in Long Island and upstate a little bit. You can walk any. Like I can walk down the block and there's a club. You know what I'm saying? I can walk down the block and there's a bar. Down the block there's a barbershop. Down the block there's like 5 different delis or whatever. Down the block there's Wingstop or Chick-fil-A or the gym or anything. Basketball, anything.
Well,
There's the train. There's the bus to the train. Like anything. Honestly. There's a bus to the city. There's a train to anything. You can walk to anything. You can even walk to the city. Like that's how walkable this city is. However, but the one thing about this city that is absolutely trash and that will never get fixed with this slow ass limits is this fucking traffic. This traffic is terrible. The traffic, with the whole congestion pricing, it's actually been getting better. But the traffic, especially during peak times of school year and peak times of this or that, it gets bad. It gets real bad. But there's transportation, so you might as well just utilize that.
I forgot what the last guest, what Chris said about what was the best one, but he did say the worst thing was fucking traffic. So that's 2 New Yorkers telling y'all traffic's bad up there.
Traffic.
As a former truck driver who spent time in Manhattan in a semi, traffic is fucking horrible. It took 5 hours to leave Manhattan, but is also the place where I learned how to drive a truck. New York City, technically, my first big city to go to. That is not recommended. Stop doing it to us. Boy. All right, cool. Okay, cool. So you lived in New York all your life, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's one thing tourists always get wrong about New York?
What's one thing tourists get wrong?
Uh-huh.
That Manhattan is this great area. It's not. It's not. Living here all my life, we always say, oh, yeah, let's go to the city, whatever. It's only because certain specific things in Manhattan are in Manhattan. There's certain specific things in other boroughs, too. Manhattan's not the end of the other, honestly. You got, as much as people trash on the Bronx, there's the Bronx. You got great Hispanic and Jamaican food up here. You got great diversity. You got great Indian food up here as well. You got Brooklyn. You got great Asian food out there. On a mini city vibe. You got, Queens. Also great history. It's the most diverse part of the entire country is Queens, New York. You got so many different cultures across the city. And people just flock to Manhattan. Like, aren't you tired? Like, no racist shit. Aren't you tired of seeing the same skin color? Like, there's other people, there's other shit to do in the city. There's other monuments rather than Times Square or the Empire State Building or the Statue of Liberty to go to in New York City. There's a lot of different things you could go to. And I'm not even talking about like uptown Manhattan. because people, for some odd reason, people think that 96th Street is where Manhattan is. No, that's 97th Street to 219th Street is Manhattan. Especially West Side. That's still Manhattan. You have other things you could go to.
I don't know nowhere in New York, even though I've been there so many times. I know my landmarks. I know what's not there anymore. We're not going to get into that. I know Hunts Point. I know Circus Fruits. I know those two places. Um, I know I might remember a mom and pop store where you get you a butterball, which is nothing but like a roll with butter in it. I
We call that a butter roll.
They call it a butterball at this one bodega, so what I'm going with. But a butterball.
Also, let me add to that actually. Speaking of bodegas, people cut my ass about bodegas. We have the best bodega food probably on the planet. Like, you could go to a pretty good bodega anywhere in the city. You can get an affordable meal for your entire family and not have to go to Manhattan and spend $250 on a meal for 3 people
Mm-hmm.
in a restaurant. Go to a bodega, you can get any type of sandwich, any type of bread, any type of snacks, and you're having a great time watching a football game or watching wrestling or watching basketball or just watching TV in general with a whole meal for 7-8 people, $400. Y'all know what to spend your money.
All right. So that's what's wrong about New York about tourists that they get wrong. The next 4 questions are all about Triple P and you. As the host, I know you've had several special guests on your show, including my guys and me, and Chiseled and a few other people. So who? Anybody that's been on this show, this is not to discredit you. This question: who has been your favorite guest so far, and why?
My favorite guests on the entire show.
Yeah.
I don't really like to pick out favorites because we invite whoever for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
We want them to be on. We invite whoever for a reason. We want them to be on the show to be a part of the network and whatever. But I guess my favorite guys. It's kind of hard. Probably Jada Kid, just because he's just hilarious. Like he's black. Blinding and hilarious. It was crazy.
Yeah, Jay is fun. Jay is fun. I actually honestly thought you were going to choose Adonis, Chisel.
They have Chiseled on. Chisel's like a brother to us. You know what I'm saying? Like he's just so cool. I met him in person twice already. Have like back-to-back months. He's just an amazing guy.
As goofy and as chill as he is, do you think he would fare well on this show?
Yes, actually.
Yes.
Yes.
We'll see about that in the future. I still have to mend a bridge so I can get 2 other ones on here. And I don't know anything about mending bridges. That's not my forte. Okay. What's been the hardest part about running a podcast? Specifically, a podcast with multiple people, because I run 3 different podcasts, and 2 of them are just by myself.
So the hardest part of the podcast with multiple people is having people show up. That is the hardest part, in my opinion. Having people show up, actually have their shit together, things that will ask for. It's pretty hard because you don't think it's just hard. Honestly. Some people forget, some people just don't do it, and you gotta like ram it down their throat. Like, this is important for the show. This is important for this. This is important for that. And sometimes they just don't do it, or they just don't show. And it's annoying because you don't want to be mean and say, oh, you're being a detriment to our success or whatever. You're fucking us out. But sometimes it's true. Like, kind of fucking it up. Like, we need this. We need this for the show. We need this for everybody. Just so we could get an audience that appreciates us for us. For all of us. Not just a specific amount or one person, for all of us. So.
Right. You guys definitely have been working hard. I know you just passed 100 subscribers. So you've been working hard enough. Getting 100 people to even like you or to even want to see more of you is hard. Wait till you get to 1,000 and then you start losing one but gaining 5. You start to wonder, what can I do better to stay with, to keep that person that left. What did I do wrong? You will go through all of that because I go through that every day here. But I do know that probably most of it's probably my fault anyways. Not that you'll have the same issue. You don't have the big, huge ego that I might have. And so there's a lot of that. The hard part is definitely getting people in for the shows. But I think the best piece of advice somebody gave me, if they continue to watch these episodes like I think they do, they'll see this and be like, oh, I told them that, is if nobody is willing, if some people are not willing to do 100%, no, you don't have to give them any more than 0. Because if you're giving 100%, and somebody's giving you 10, that means you're only putting in 10.
Honestly, yeah, that's a great way to go about it, because if I'm sitting here and y'all not doing shit, I'm not doing shit.
Right.
For y'all.
And what was told to me from my friends years ago was, life is not going to wait for you to get ready. Life doesn't wait for anybody. Life happens.
Exactly.
So if you're not going to be 100% today, you're not ever going to be 100% in this cause. Now,
Facts. That's honestly facts. That's the truth.
here, you only get one time. One. This next one is one person. For me, I'm pretty sure you already know who I'm going to choose if you asked it right back to me. But one person. If you could have any wrestler as a guest on your podcast, who would it be? You know who mine would be.
Honestly, that's a pretty hard question.
You can't have mine though. That's vetoed. Can't do that.
I don't know why that's a bit so much. I don't know. Who would get? So I'm thinking about star power. Who would get eyes on the product? Who would actually have a genuine, long conversation? Who would be hilarious? It would just be a funny guy.
Oh, I know that. That's easy. That's our truth.
Honestly, in my opinion, like, you said I can only pick one.
Yeah, you can only pick one. This is why it's so hard. You only get one.
I mean, I have one in my head. So I'm gonna just say I would love to get Randy Orton on the podcast. I would love to get Randy on the podcast. I know he's hilarious. I know he would say how he feels. I know, he would just do these funny things that you wouldn't even notice. It's just great. It's just good.
Would you watch this? Would you watch that episode if Alexa Bliss was on here? Do you think I would be able to be professional like I am now with her on? No?
No, Chad.
Not a shot.
In this? No. You would not be professional. It wouldn't work.
Okay. Where do you see Triple P in 5 years?
Hopefully, like, I want to get to the stage of where we're doing more in-person episodes rather than over StreamYard or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I also want to get to the point where not that we're recognized by these companies, but more so like allowed, okay, allowed to get interviews with someone else, see how they feel, give them some questions, you know, give them some pointers, maybe, you know,
Give them some pointers. You say,
and just have a genuine conversation with some wrestling. Yeah, so that's my goal, and I wanted to be able to reach more people, get more people to enjoy, you know, wrestling podcasts, whatever. Uh, yeah,
well, seems like a very down to earth thing. You know, the shady, the blurry future for HGU only comes not because nobody's into it, but a lot of people are using this as they want to see it grow, but they also don't. This is not their dream. This is my dream, so I can't force them to do. But that I appreciate every help it gets, type shit. Um, okay. So the next 7 questions are what everybody triple PHGU, ITC, Chiseled, whoever and Alexa Bliss would ever be on the show would get these questions. Not gonna happen, huh? Mm-mm. She wouldn't come alone. It'd be the Wyatt Six with her or something.
you might get extorted.
All right. What has been your favorite moments in podcasting so far? One moment.
My favorite. Huh. I can't just say like a collective, like in terms of like entirety, like just one single.
You could say a collective or the times when we do blank or things like that. Yeah.
Um, I will say my favorite moments usually are when we all come as a collective, actually have these post podcast conversations.
Mm-hmm.
We actually get more down to earth with one another and actually, you know, understand who we are and what we're going through and actually trying to help each other become better people. In terms of on camera, when everybody's watching, that's just that's just the best thing in the world. Everybody's in a happy state. Everybody's in a joyous state. And people are gonna want to continue the laughter going. You know what I'm saying? Like they're gonna want to see more people laugh throughout the show. You can look at our last podcast. Nothing but laughs. Nothing but laughs. And I think that's the best thing about it. You know, we could freely crack jokes on each other, crack jokes on this or that, and we feel comfortable enough to actually, you know, spew these things out. So
That's right. I think that's a good point to make too. Um, y'all's energy matches a lot of energy of what viewers would like if they ever could find you guys. If the algorithm wasn't the algorithm and people could actually stumble upon you, they would stay. So, yeah. Um, cool. Is there a lesson you've learned? Nope. That's the 17th question. Number 16. Uh-huh. If you could send a message to your past self, what would you say?
that girl is not worth it.
A girl's not worth it.
Just stop going for stop going for these girls that don't really see it. Just continue doing what you're doing. Continue being happy. Continue with your friends. Be a nerd. Get more into anime. Do whatever it takes for you to get away from the toxicity of a relationship.
Exactly.
It's a little to the people HU know, my podcast, not really mine, the podcast that I had helped create was started because I broke up with my ex like a week before. And that gave me the ambition to actually push forth a podcast that I've been delaying for a year. So
I give you a little insight to me. When I was driving a truck, I would be on the phone with a guy that you guys see in my podcast or in the Discord for HGUs. His name is Flacco Obama. His name he changed it to all O's like ooh. Um, he when I was on the weekends, he would call me. We stay on the phone while I'm driving 16 hours. Like I will wake up in Denver, and this man would still be on the phone with me in like St. Louis. Like it'd be we was talking. We always talked about doing podcasts, especially the main topic is women relationships. But the whole thing about, well, I don't like what you say. I'm gonna tell your company, and we're gonna get you fired. That always stopped us. Won't stop me no more. This is where we got the phrase, single mom stroke and all that. That's where we got the phrase from. It was about 10, 15 years ago. Don't worry. We'll ask about it later. Um, Somebody's gonna clip this. I know Lynn, because Lynn watches all the episodes and clips them. Like he's very diligent at that, and he is like the other half of the show that nobody recognizes. He's gonna find single mom stroke and clip it. That's immediate. So, but so I understand because I was doing that conversation with him in 2014. This is 2025, and I had just done my first podcast experience in 2020 on an anime podcast that is still ongoing. It's just that I've been busy with HU. I can't make another episode. So, that's a good answer. All right, number 17. Is there a lesson you've learned the hard way that you think everyone should hear?
the hard way, a lesson I don't let your anger consume you. So back when I was once again 18, 19 years old, I was a lot more of a delinquent than people think. So it was one night. I was leaving from a ex-friend's birthday party, and I was so enraged by someone else. Yeah, I did something that caused that entire night to be thrown out of whack. Uh, without going into too much detail, let's just say there was a gun brandished, and
God.
um, and I let the anger consume me. And that day, I straight up told him to shoot. Like, I didn't care. And that day is when I realized that I let my anger, my rage, everything in between consume too much. So I vowed from that day to calm myself down, see things for what it is, and actually back up and not put too much pressure on myself to resolve a situation.
Yeah. Okay. Don't consume yourself. I mean, I've done that. Where were you at when I was, running away from home at 16, driving to Connecticut? There was nobody
Now,
up there.
why would you go to Connecticut?
I mean, I was 16. I did what I want. But I would never. I don't think I would ever change that part of my life because that helped me understand what I was going to be a little bit in my life, a truck driver. So, all right. So, number 18. What's your dream crossover with another podcaster group?
Um, a dream crossover with a podcast.
And just to further put that question in perspective, make it in person because I've already had, you've already had Chiseled on your show. I've already had ITC on my show, but it wasn't in person. So, what would you rather, in person crossover?
So the group that really what are you doing? The group that really inspired me to podcast is the group formerly known as Through the Wire, hosted by King in the Fourth Quarter, P with the Plug, D Mills, and Mike Benhill, Michael Mike Moore, I think it sometimes goes by now. There's a group of 4 friends who grew up in high school, actually just grew up together. And they've made it big. They have their own streaming platform, not really streaming platform, but they have a new podcast called, wait, let me look it up. They have their own new podcast, so I know that. Sure. What is their podcast? It's not Enjoy People. That's the other channel. But yeah, they're just a group of podcasters. Basically, they talk a lot about NBA. They talk about real life stuff as well. But watching them and seeing how they flow, how they really respected each other and had these little jokes going at one another, and just showed that they're really a brotherhood, really a family. Inspired me to want to run a podcast, want to create one. So that would be my actual in-person dream crossover with those guys.
Legit. Okay. See, number 19. What's one thing you learned from being part of that podcast of Triple P that you did not expect to learn?
Honestly, some people just let their egos get to their head. They let a little small, not really a little small, because every advancement in anything is a great good.
No.
But they let achievements that don't seem as major as they should be get to their head, and they allow it to create a character that really isn't them. And it brings negative energy and toxicity to the point where we had to kick someone out because they had a big ego.
I'm pretty sure I know who that is.
About It's been about 6 months without that person.
I'm pretty sure I know who that is now. For real, for real.
We had to kick them out because of the ego that they just portrayed. It made no sense. Yeah, it made no sense. Why are we having such a big head about this? We have to be humble. We have to grow naturally while we can.
Right. Important part.
Artificially. Yeah, just letting shit get to our heads. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, we're almost done. We got a few more. We got 2 more. We have 2 more questions. If you could create a podcast episode, a podcast episode with an unlimited budget, what would the theme or concept be?
Okay, so unlimited budget. Okay. I'm probably not even gonna go too crazy. I would just have the ability, because we are actually kind of gonna do this in August. I would just have the ability to have every person who has featured on the podcast, and we will all congregate in one big house, maybe one big house, and just shoot like a 12-hour a day in the life running podcast episode of all of us.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Some of us go to the stores, some of us doing this, doing that. Just a 12-hour straight day in the life of everybody. You know what I'm saying? Well, it could be 16 hours, it could be 20 hours, it doesn't matter. Just a day in the life of all of us and what we would do all together if we were to congregate as one. You know? And that wouldn't even be too much. Just get people to fly out to a specific city or, a specific city that we all chip in to get a specific house. And then I don't think it would be too bad.
For me, I would do almost the same. I would fly everybody out to like one of the biggest houses here in Florida. We all can be in there. But we'd hold one of the ultimate tournaments, the Try Not to Laugh tournament.
Oh.
You would be 1v1 with somebody until somebody broke and laughed first. You'd be watching funny videos, whether it be Trey Rags, whether it be Niles, whether it be Booker T commentary, whatever. Y'all would go in there and it'd be one by one be eliminated. And at the end, you would be the most stoic champion of whatever podcast group because is getting invited. I would probably be knocked out early in the rounds because I'm fat. I jiggle when I try to hold in laughter, and then it just makes me laugh because I'm fat. So,
you jiggle?
I do. If you see me try to hold in my laughter, I look like it's like this. It's like jiggle, 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 jiggle.
That's crazy.
All right.
I have seen you try to hold them.
All right. If earlier I asked you if you could send a message to your past self, what would you say? So my final question to you, Ty, is what is the message you want to tell your future self?
Keep going. Keep going. Just keep going. If you don't keep going, something will happen. Something that you will not like will happen. So, my bad. I'm looking through this. Just keep it going. Keep it going. If you don't, what is the goal in your life? You don't keep going. You gotta keep it pushing.
I've always been told by my uncle that he probably heard it from somebody else because I'm not trying to quote my uncle here. If anybody's watching, if you don't learn something new every day, you really have no reason to be there. Whether you open a book, whether you read a book that has the same word in it 80,000 times, you're learning something new. I could never find meow if I didn't do that. But yeah, so keep on going. Don't ever stop. You can sleep when you die. That's what another one of my uncles had told me.
No, you sleep when you need to sleep.
Yes, but the big part of it is you can sleep later.
I've had a friend tell me that you need to you only need 4 hours of sleep.
Who told you that stupid shit?
One of my good friends, he was like, "Yeah, you only need 4 hours of sleep now." A man, he said, a man specifically should be up at least 18 hours a day. I was like, "Nah, bro, not me." I guess
I'm guessing your friend can't math then because 24 minus 18 is 6. So where's that 4 coming from?
He said at least 18 hours, but he said for him it's 20.
20 hours a day. That man lost his damn mind.
Yeah.
That man lost his damn mind. Anyways, hell yeah, just 21 full questions. Technically it's like 24, but we ain't gonna say nothing about that. So thank you a whole bunch, Ty, for finally showing up on the 4th episode. Everybody thought that I was going to try to get Ross on here for the 4th episode. That's just rude, first of all. This is a serious show. So we do look forward to not only Triple B's future, but yours as well personally. Um, and we'll be there. Most of us will be there. Me and Jay, at least, will be there every step of the way because we're very much integrated in Triple P's lifestyle now. So, to the viewers, I will link Playin Possum Podcast. I don't have to, but I'm gonna because and the reason why I say I don't have to is because they're already linked in our website. So, but I'm gonna link them below as normal. And so that so that you can go follow them and find all the hilarity that we HGU find every day. Like I'm in their VC almost daily, waiting for somebody to make me laugh. So, as always, I am the host, OG Bam, and this has been and is still go 21 questions, a high ground Q&A. It has been a pleasure. Still, go have a good birthday for the rest of the day that it is, Ty, and I will see you all next time. Peace.